You're just 8 years old. You watch 6 armed men gun down your father right in front of your eyes. They whip you like an animal and ride away laughing. In that moment, a broken little boy makes a deadly promise. I will hunt every single one of you down, even if it takes my entire life. What happened next turned that helpless child into one of the most feared gunfighters in the Wild West. A man known as Pistol Pete. This is not a movie. This is a true revenge story so intense, it will leave you speechless. Stick around. Because this boy didn't just seek revenge, he became revenge itself. It's a quiet moonlit night in 1868 in the wild frontier of Kansas. A young boy named Frank Eaton, only 8 years old, is inside his family's small home. Suddenly, he hears loud voices outside. His father, John Eaton, steps out to see what is happening. 6 armed men, former Confederate guerrillas who called themselves the Regulators, are waiting for him. Without warning, they open fire. Frank watches in horror as bullets tear through his father. John Eaton collapses right in front of his young son. The men don't stop there. They even whip the terrified 8-year-old boy with a quirt before riding away into the darkness. Frank stands there, frozen, staring at his father's lifeless body. In that moment, something inside him breaks, and something else is born. A burning vow for justice. After the funeral, an old family friend named Mose Beeman puts a hand on Frank's shoulder and says words that would change his life forever. My boy, may an old man's curse rest upon you if you do not try to avenge your father. From that day on, 8-year-old Frank Eaton had only one purpose: to hunt down every single man who murdered his father. But he was just a child. How could he possibly do it? Stay with me, because this is where his incredible journey begins. Frank didn't waste any time. He begged his mother for a pistol and started practicing every single day. From sunrise to sunset, he would stand in front of targets, firing again and again until his hands bled and his arms ached. He taught himself to draw fast, to aim true, and to never miss. The boy who once felt helpless was slowly turning into a deadly marksman. When he was still a teenager, Frank moved to Fort Gibson in Indian Territory. There, he trained with soldiers and challenged the best shooters around. In one contest, he outshot an entire group of cavalry troopers with unbelievable speed and accuracy. That's when people started calling him Pistol Pete. But Frank wasn't doing this for fame. Every bullet he fired, every hour he practiced, was for one reason only: to prepare himself for the day he would face his father's killers. By the time he turned 15, Pistol Pete was already known as one of the fastest guns in the territory. The 6 men who thought they had gotten away with murder had no idea that a boy they once whipped was now coming for them, and the hunt was about to begin. Frank started tracking his father's killers one by one. It wasn't easy. These men had scattered across different states, hiding in Missouri, Oklahoma, and beyond. But Frank was patient and relentless. He found the first ones in a remote cabin near Weber's Falls. 2 of the murderers, Doc Ferber and Shannon Campsey Woodysauce, were there. Frank didn't sneak up on them. He walked straight up, faced them like a man, and challenged them to a fair fight. Guns blazed. When the smoke cleared, both men lay dead at his feet. Word of Pistol Pete's revenge started spreading across the frontier. People whispered about the young gunman who was systematically hunting down the Regulators. Frank didn't stop. He continued his search, riding hundreds of miles, sleeping under the stars, following every lead, no matter how old or cold it was. Each kill brought him one step closer to fulfilling the vow he made as a helpless 8-year-old boy. But there were still more men left. And the most dangerous ones were still out there. Would he find them all before they found him? The tension was building. Years passed. Frank was now in his early 20s, but the fire for revenge still burned just as bright. He learned that the last of his father's killers, including Wiley Campsey, had fled as far as West Texas and even Albuquerque, New Mexico. Frank saddled his horse and rode alone across the harsh frontier, tracking them relentlessly. In one dramatic showdown in a saloon, he faced Wiley and his bodyguards. Guns were drawn, and once again, Pistol Pete's speed proved deadly. One by one, he settled the blood debt. By the late 1880s, every single man responsible for his father's murder had been brought to justice, either by Frank's gun or by facing the consequences of their past. It had taken him over a decade, from a scared little boy to a legendary gunfighter known as Pistol Pete. Frank Eaton had dedicated his entire youth to this single mission. When the last killer fell, Frank finally stood alone. He had done what he swore to do as a child. The curse that old Mose Beeman spoke of had been lifted, not by forgetting, but by fulfilling his promise. Frank Eaton lived a long life after his revenge was complete. He became a deputy U.S. Marshal, a blacksmith, and even inspired the famous Oklahoma State University mascot, Pistol Pete. He participated in parades and told his story to generations of young people. But deep down, his life had been shaped by that one tragic night in 1868. He never forgot his father, and he never regretted the path he chose. Now, here's the big question for you. Was Frank right to spend his entire youth seeking revenge? Or should he have let go and moved on? In the lawless Old West, where justice was often hard to find, many believed a man had to take matters into his own hands. Today, things are different. But the emotion behind revenge, the pain of betrayal, the desire for justice, still burns in all of us when someone hurts the people we love. What would you have done in Frank's place? Tell me in the comments below. If you enjoyed this revenge story, hit that like button, subscribe for more real-life tales of justice and vengeance, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. Which revenge story should I cover next? Something modern or another wild historical one? Let me know. Thanks for watching. Stay strong, stay just, and I'll see you in the next video.